Hello, thank you very much for being here. My name is Marco Campos. I'm the director of the Language Studies program. I'm temporarily assisting organizing and supervising the Writing Center, which is already fully staffed in terms of tutors. We have excellent tutors. They all have been trained to be tutors in the areas that you are studying. Some of them have already been working as tutors in Bologna during the first year in the Writing Center there. And we have also recruited tutors from Cary Business School. So I think we are in very good shape in terms of tutors, TAs available in the Writing Center. We have started the operations over a week ago. And the Writing Center is located in room 304. What I'm going to do now, for those of you who have not been there, is giving you an idea of what we can do for you. So, basically, who does the Writing Center have? How many of you have already been at the Writing Center, by the way? Has anybody here been at the Writing Center? Nobody? So good, this is good, because then I'm hoping that after the presentation you will decide to visit us. So the Writing Center helps all size students, anybody in the size community, both native and non-native speakers of English, who are facing challenges in the written assignments. Because being a native speaker of English or your own language does not mean that you are also able or know how to do academic writing. So it's open to all the size communities. It's also even for visiting scholars if they're writing publishing paper. Will the Writing Center help you improve your English? Well, yes and no. The Writing Center, the focus is not really to teach you English. That's why we have the English program, where you can take English classes if you are a non-native speaker of English, and if you are struggling with your level of English and what is expected in your classes. What the Writing Center can do for you, on the other hand, is to help improve your academic writing, making whatever you are writing for your classes intelligible, clear, coherent, and consistent with the conventions that your teachers or the academic establishment of your area expects. The type of citations, the type of documents we're using in the day, or any other type of manual of style. So that's where we really focus on our work in terms of the final product. So will we talk about the final product? Are we going to fix your paper? Not really. What we're going to do is help you fix your papers by becoming a more effective writer. Again, we are more concerned about the process of you as a writer. We want you to understand what the writing process is, and we also want to create a space that's safe for you, so you can express any doubts that you may have in regards to your knowledge of the language, in regards of how to write. It's a place where you can take risks. In other words, a place where you can try to find your voice in this other language in academic writing. So it's that's really our mission, to help you find your own voice for writing. And again, what we do is we focus on the process, on the whole process of writing, from the original one, from the brainstorming of ideas, because a typical problem for writers who are not very used to academic writing is that maybe they have 2, 3, 5 brilliant research questions or ideas, but when they need to help to narrow it down and focus in order to have something that becomes efficient as a research paper. So we are there to help in the whole process from the very beginning. You have an assignment that you need to do research on something specific, but maybe you don't know how to narrow it down. We are there to help you there. All the TAs are working there have written several papers. They know that they have been, their students here, so they know really how the process works. We will help you from going to that phase into then coming into drafting the initial paragraph. That we need, what is the topic for this paragraph, etc. Because sometimes the paragraph organization of content vary. Even if you're an excellent writer and you're a native speaker, the organization of content may vary from one language to another language. For example, like my native language is Spanish, and although we follow organization of content a bit similar to English, the information that we have in the topic sentence of a paragraph might be a little bit different from English. We kind of coordinate things a little bit more. So in English, I think it's more straight to the point. So other languages have an organization which They start with a metaphor, for example, like it's the key to contention, something like that, things in Japanese. And then from there they elaborate and come up with the main idea. So again, the idea is to help you how to organize your discourse in units of meaning that are perceived as coherent in the way people write in English. We will also help you with making the revisions of your paragraphs. And finally, what people normally assume that should be our work, which is the true reading that comes at the end. But again, it's the whole process. And then hopefully at the end of the whole sessions, you will be able to have something that is prepared to present as a final copy to your instructors or maybe for publishing. So again, our focus is going to be to help you understand the process of academic writing, guide you with a specific task that you might have, an assignment or a paper you need to write, and that will help you obtain a better final product. But the focus is the process more than the product. The product takes care of by itself if you do the process, okay? And of course, you will develop the skill of writing for academic purposes. So again, the key point for us that if you feel stuck with your paper, do not wait until you have a first draft to see us. Just come to see us. Talk to the TAs, and they will help you. They will guide you. They will help you. Give you feedback in terms of how to narrow down your ideas. So yeah, something like that. And again, remember that writing is a process. We're here to help you from the start, and do not wait to contact. The Writing Center is located in Rome, in 304. We have face-to-face sessions. We're also going to have online sessions via Skype. The online sessions are not the first welcome to the language bar. You first need to meet with the TAs, and you need to have a plan of work. So maybe by the second or the third session, you might be able to move to continue this plan with the same TA. But once you already have the brainstorming, you have the rough ideas of what you're doing. The first step is always go there and meet in person. Again, Rome 304, and we have a sign-up sheet next to the door in Rome 304. We're going to get an electronic scheduler soon, and just go there and sign. If the slots that you want are full, they're not left, no big deal. We have backup plans. Just email us at sciencewritingcenter@jsu.edu if you didn't find a slot that works for you, and we'll find a time for you to meet with a TA. So that's pretty much what I need to say. Come to visit us soon, today if possible, and then we'll take it from there. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Will we be able to chapters like TAs with the same concentration resource?
Will there be TA who have the same concentration with you? We try to pair you with a TA with the same concentration. We cannot guarantee that. But however, the writing, organization is similar in academic language world for other levels. We do, however, work with the faculty. So, for example, Professor Debbie Levy, she sends us all the type of documents that she requires in her class. And we have as a reference, the writing TAs already have those documents so they can refer to them and help you using that as a reference. Okay? Are there any other questions? No? Well, so that's pretty much what I have to say. It's more like encouraging to know, to tell you who we are, where we are, and encouraging to visit us. Okay? Well, thank you very much then. And see you soon. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, so Jenny and I are going to take over. For those who haven't seen us already at an orientation or in my office or Jenny's office, I'm Steve Sears. I'm one of the librarians. I know some of you. Jenny Gelman. And so what we're going to do today is really just sort of highlight a selection of top resources that we think could help you at various points on your research. This does not, I'm going to show you a research guide that is an energy resources environment guide, but this does not mean that you're expected to do all this on your own. So if you have questions as you're starting research or midway through you can't find something, you can email us at Citation Library. There's bookmarks that have our email address on it, and you can just ask us a question, or if you want to come in and meet with us, I would say send us an email that gives a couple of times that might work for you. We're usually here Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Sometimes we can stay a little bit later. But like I said, if you have a question online, we'll try to answer it online as well. So, feel free to reach out to us. That's the takeaway that you're going to hear from everybody here at SICE. So, in terms of the guide we're going to use, this is the library's homepage. Easiest way to get to it is just to Google SICE Library, honestly. And then when you're on this page, if you go to these research guides right here, there is an ERE guide, and we're going to use that today. So this is also linked on a lot of the Blackboard pages right near the course readings, like on the lower left. But actually, the thing that I think I should probably start with really is Refworks. So some of you I know have probably already encountered Refworks. How many have used a citation manager like Zotero, Refworks, EndNote? Has anybody here used that? Okay, so some of you have used it. It's an option that we have at Hopkins that we pay for. So it's actually one that you can, once you leave Hopkins, you can actually take the account with you. You can switch it over to a different login. And it is essentially a citation manager is, first of all, a place to sort of gather citations together that you're working on, that you're using for papers or potentially going to use in papers. And then you can do other things with it, and that's where the sort of payoff comes. You can create a bibliography really quickly of a set of resources. You can actually use what we call it a plugin. We call that an add-in in Word, so that you can, when you're doing, say, footnotes, you can actually sort of get a little window into your Refworks and then just insert the notes, and it will build the bibliography as you go. We have a class on Friday at 2 p.m. in NITSA 417, I think, right? It's a Refworks class. So if you want to come to that class, if you can make it, do that. I think I'll have cookies or something there. And then you're welcome to sort of make an appointment with us as well to talk about Refworks. There is actually, before I go to the ERE guide, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the homepage of the library's site. And there is a Refworks guide right here. And so there's basic information about how to use it if you want to look at any of this stuff. I am going to, I thought that was just going to log me in. I'm going to log in for you. There's 2 versions of it, and obviously you're going to want to use the newer version. There's old Refworks and new Refworks. I'm going to log in just so you can see what it looks like. There's a temptation to sort of type in, like my address is popping up right there. Temptation to type in your password in there. Don't do it. Just go down here to, can't quite see that, but use login from my institution and just start typing in Hopkins, and you'll get to that. And that'll take you to the JED login that you're used to. So I'm going to log in. And so to set this up for yourself, at first you just log in once. And it'll ask you a few questions the first time you log in. But this is what it looks like. So what we're seeing here are, how many do I have? I have 157 references or citations in here. Now, I didn't type these in. I'm a terrible typist, as you'll probably see when we're working today. But most of our databases have a way that if you find an article that you like, you can export it into Refworks, the citation into Refworks, so that you'll have it there. So if you click on one of these, for instance, you'll see the full citation. This one has, all the basics in it. You can edit them if you want to right here. And then you can also move them into folders. So I have a folder here, I have several folders here. There's an ERE folder with 12 resources in it. And I'll show you where the first payoff is. There's 12 citations in here that I've imported from different databases in the library catalog. If I click up here, create bibliography, I've already told it that I like to use Chicago Manual of Styles, so it knows, but there's a whole bunch of them here you can look up. And then you see right here, that's the bibliography, so you can cut and paste that into a document if you wanted to. So you don't have to worry about where does the title go versus the author, what if there's multiple authors, etc. This will help you know what the correct format is. And like I said, there's also an option in here under these tools where you can figure out how to, is it in here actually? The Citation Manager for Word? Or do you
Under tools.
It is. It's right in there, yeah. So that's where you would do a download to work with your Word. So if you're doing footnotes, you could do that, for instance. So there's a lot of different options for how you arrange this. You know, you could have different papers, different classes, whatever. The goal here is that it makes your life easier. So you can use part of it. You don't have to use the Word plugin if you don't want to. You could just use this to help build your citations correctly. So it's whatever you want. And as I said, you can use a lot of different formats. You can also add documents here. You can upload a document to it. So you can take a PDF that you find, and it'll create a citation for you. Sometimes they're not very good, depending on the metadata for that document. But sometimes I'll bring a PDF in that I find on the web, like from Brookings or something, and I'll try to get it to do a citation for me, so I don't have to type anything in. And you can also, of course, type in your own references as well. So that's what Refworks is. That's what we're talking about when we talk about citation managers and bibliographies. And it's just a way to help you make that a simpler process. Because it's the last thing you want to do is spend hours typing those out yourself.
We will, I'll point out to you when we're searching for articles a little bit later on, how you can export the articles that you find into the database. Because you're not going to type them in, you're not going to copy and paste. You're exporting these from various search engines.
Jenny will give you an example of that. So, as I said, going back to sort of the core energy resources, the ERE guide has a starting points page, which has some of the main ones that you might want to use. There's also different pages on here for statistics, like a lot of different types of stats, energy, environment. Some of these are just links that we've been given over the years that people have said these are really good. I bet Professor Blevis gave us something at some point. There's a separate section for articles, industry, research options. So if you need to find out about a particular industry like concrete or something in a particular country, you could do that. There's government organizations. So for the last project that we were doing with Arctic drilling for Professor Blevis, we actually ended up in some cases using the EIA, which is a US government agency. We used Proquest Congressional. There's good Congress reports in there. So there's a lot of different options on here. But I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to show you the OECD library. So this is something, so all of these things you can get to off campus. You just have to click on our links and you can log in with your JET. And this one is for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. There's a bunch of member countries. It's been around since the 60s, I think. There's also a lot of information for countries that are not members in here, and there's a lot of different ways that you can move around. And this actually looks different than, say this.
There's a search on content up top.
That's interesting, because usually there's a, I don't know if it's the...
On the left, see that? Search on content.
Yeah, I thought there was a way to browse. I'm not seeing it.
I think you might have to go in there. Did you click on it?
That's actually the search box. It's funny.
Oh.
This looks different than it does in my office. Yeah.
This morning it looked different.
Here we go.
Than it does now.
So it may depend on the browser on how it looks, but you can browse by theme, for instance. So if you wanted to just sort of see what's in here under energy, you can see the different types of documents. Now these are documents. So this is going to be PDFs, world energy balances, huge documents. Some of these are probably like 700 pages. So there's a lot of stuff in here. I tend to probably use it more for statistics, but I wanted to make the point that you can browse by theme. Under this one, it's right here. You can even browse by theme and country, so you could choose to have energy, and then you can find, like, say, Brazil, and it'll bring back a mix of resources. And I'll just click that little arrow. So it'll bring back all sorts of things, and you can sort of bring it down there. But as I said, I think one of the things that's most valuable in here are the statistics. So if you don't see on the first screen, just use that little sandwich up there in the upper right and go to statistics. So they have their own stats in here, but the one I wanted to point out is the IEA. International Energy
Energy
Agency. Yeah, we've got EIA, IEA, it gets confusing. So these are not stats that are free on the web. This is part of our subscription. So for instance, there's a section here on renewables, oil information, IEA World Energy Statistics and Balances, excuse me. And if you go in here, you can see the different kinds of options. They're citing in here. It doesn't have an export option in here, but they at least tell you how to cite data, which is an issue. Now I'm going to click on this. Earlier in my office, this was acting up and I wasn't able to get in. Hopefully I can get into this, okay. Let's see. All right, so that's what we got this morning.
It's not true.
It's not true, we
You
do
have
subscribe to
access
it.
To it, yeah.
Let me see if, this is a new problem. I'll try oil information stats and see if I can get into that. But essentially what you're going to get is a huge spreadsheet where you can control all the variables. You can say country, exports, whatever you want. There's a huge amount of information in here. Let's see. Let's try exports and see. It did this to me in my office this morning where it wouldn't let me in, and then I did it a few times and it finally let me in, so I'm not sure what'll happen with this one, but we'll probably let Baltimore know that it's not working very well.
We'll get it fixed.
There we go. Okay, so now it's working. So in here you can customize. There are 40 countries for this one. So you can choose the countries, you can choose the type of product. So if you wanted to know about natural gas liquids, you can choose a destination for that. So there's a lot of options in here and you can just build your spreadsheets however you want them. Again, there are sort of data books as well in here, PDFs, but if you want to create something that you can manipulate, you can use these stats. So that is a really good resource that's going to probably save you when you're trying to find information on a particular country and renewables or whatever it is that you're trying to get.
By the way, you guys can, this is informal, so
Yeah.
if you have questions, just jump in, don't wait for the end. Because we're talking
Definitely.
about a lot of different resources today.
So that is, excuse me, OECD. It's the first thing you see on the homepage of your ERE guide. Another thing that you can use, actually, you can use this for any size topic, is the Economist Intelligence Unit. This is put out by the same organization that does the Economist, the same company. Another one of our most valuable resources. There's two ways that you can dig around in here. I think it's better for sort of browsing into stuff than it is for doing searches. So you can search by country, and look how many countries are included. So for instance, if I go to, let's do Brazil again. There's a lot of different options in here. What they're famous for are their country reports. So they put these out every month. There's essentially what I call like a SICE person in that country who is responsible for doing a report. It doesn't just have the kind of data that you could find in Wikipedia or something. It has analysis. So these reports will have information about the country's political stability at that moment, elections. It'll have basic facts about how big the country is, etc. And it will have sort of general economic data as well. So that's really helpful if you're working on a country that you don't know much about. You can sort of get the basics. They're usually about 30 pages long. But the other thing that is really good in here are the industry reports. So this country, Brazil, does have, I believe, yes, an energy report. So I'm just going to download the whole thing here. This one is 11 pages. It's third quarter, so these are produced quarterly. And you'll see they break it down: oil and gas, electricity. And again, this is going to be analysis, so it'll give you a little bit of history, but mainly it's going to be really up-to-date information on that country in relation to, say, oil demand, gas demand. And then they have their own, they have their own data people here. Sometimes they'll source it out to something else, but usually it's going to be coming from Economist Intelligence in the data. So those can be really helpful when you're working on a particular country. There's another way to go in up at the top, and that's just to do energy. Industry and then energy. And then when you're in here, you can see all the countries that have energy reports produced. So there's quite actually quite a few. This has grown a lot in the past few years. So that's the Economist Intelligence Unit. So again, the country report piece can work for almost any size class. The energy industry reports are really good for ERE students. Another one, should I do BMI? I'll do BMI. So BMI research is, this is essentially like market reports. So this kind of stuff is worth thousands of dollars. If you stumble across these things online, you wouldn't be able to get them. But I'll show you how to dig in. You can do searches in here, but you can also dig in, again, by country. Let's just say Colombia this time. So I'm going to click on Colombia. This is now going to bring back everything related to Colombia. I can also go up here and click reports, so I can see specific types of reports. And then I can go over here, and you'll see that there are oil and gas reports, mining, petrochemicals, power. So if I choose oil and gas, it'll narrow that down. There's an archive here. You probably can't see that very well, but there's an archive here of 57 reports. I think these are quarterly reports, but you can download one right here. There's a little download option. And I'm just going to open this and show you. These are big reports. So this one is 100 pages on Colombia. This is the fourth quarter 2018, so it's really current. So usually they'll start with like a SWOT analysis. They'll get into the major players, just overviews of the whole market there. So this can be really, really helpful when you're trying to understand particular countries, whatever industry it is. Yeah?
I have a question. Can we cite it in the Refworks, those data?
They don't have an obvious way to export a citation. This one you might be able to save as PDF and upload the document and see if it'll create that citation for you, but you may also have to build it, and there's an option when you're building a citation in Refworks. You can choose, like, say it's a book or it's a scholarly article. You can say report and then just put in the basic information, and then Refworks will probably know how to build the citation for it. So there's a couple of ways that you could do that. So those are really cool reports. We only got this a few years ago, so definitely look at it if there's things in here that you might want to see. There's also other types of reports like country risk reports, and then across other industries as well. Finance, banking, defense. So it depends on what you're working on, what you'll need. It's going to be different depending on the particular country. Some won't have an oil and gas report, some will, some won't have mining. It just depends on that.
For some countries, they actually have a renewables report.
Yeah.
Colombia doesn't have one because they're basically, if you read the power report down below, I read a little bit of it this morning. It basically said that Colombia's renewable energy sector is not nearly as well developed as the rest of Latin America. Maybe some of you already know that. You guys are the experts, not us in ERE, but
yeah. So there'll be different reports.
different reports for different countries.
That again is on the first page here. So those are some sort of good background sources that you can use. Jenny's going to talk now about finding articles for papers, which, again, this came up recently with Professor Blevis's piece. You know, how do you find good articles? Which are the best sources? Yeah, sure. Oh,
Okay.
let me tell one thing real fast.
Yes.
If anybody, there's this E&E News in here. If anybody you take Professor Banks' classes, I know that he really loves that. It's a good energy news source. We're not going to cover today, but it is on the main page there.
Yeah, and you can there's actually a way that you can subscribe to get email alerts from E&E News because you have all this free time to read. So in terms of getting articles, there are many, many options for finding journal articles on a particular topic. Proquest, as some of you already know, is the first place we usually recommend you go for any topic and sites. There's also Science Direct, which is excellent for ERE topics especially. And this one we added to the homepage just today. It's called Green File. And that's also a good one, depending on your topic. It can be a little technical, but so can Science Direct. They both have some technical, but they also cover policy issues as well. We're not going to look at all three of those today. I don't think we have time to look at Green File today. But we will look quickly at Proquest and Science Direct. And I'll point out the export features so you know how to get things into Refworks too. By the way, Refworks also works from the library catalog. So if you're searching Catalyst, the library catalog, if you click on a title, you'll see there's an export to Refworks link. You don't notice it unless you're looking for it, but now that you know about it, you'll see it. So I'm going to run a search in Proquest here for climate change. You really want to narrow it down. Proquest is kind of like the Google of academic search engines. It has 45 databases here that it covers. Databases meaning 45 different topic areas that it covers. And that includes science and ERE topics as well as military and arts and culture. So it really is completely interdisciplinary, and it does have a lot of international sources in it. So I'm going to narrow this down some. I'm really interested in local solutions to climate change. And maybe I'm really interested in local solutions in Kenya. So I'm going to narrow it down that way to start. And then we'll have further options. Oh, look, only 47,000 results. You could look through that in an afternoon, right? But there are other ways to narrow it down. There is an advanced search up here. That option allows you to search in just the title and the abstract and the subject headings, for example. When you're searching in Proquest, often you're searching the entire text of an article. So every single word in the article. But you can also narrow it down here by date, for example. So you could choose just the last 5 years or choose a custom date range. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to just say 2015. And you don't have to put an end date in. You can leave that blank. Click apply. And it will limit our search now to just the last 3 years. So only 12,000 results now. All right. You can also filter or limit your results by source type. So you can see Proquest covers, it has scholarly journals in it. It has scholarly, is not necessarily the same thing as peer-reviewed, but it has scholarly and peer-reviewed journals in it. It has dissertations, magazines. It doesn't really have books. It really has book reviews, but you're not going to find books in Proquest. That's not where you want to search if you're looking for a book on a particular topic, unless you want to look at book reviews. It also has news sources as well. So I'm going to click on the More link here, and that allows us to include or exclude certain types of sources. I'm going to go ahead and choose scholarly journals and trade journals. What is a trade journal? A trade journal is a journal put out by a particular industry or trade. So Oil and Gas Journal is a trade journal in your area, in ERE. It's an excellent source of information, even though it may not be considered scholarly. And most trade journals have a point of view or bias. So you want to think about, if you're citing Oil and Gas Journal, just remember that they have a particular point of view. They are supporting the oil and gas industry. So I've chosen two sources that I want to.
Can I add one thing here?
Yeah.
I recently, a professor gave me, not for ERE, but for another department, gave me project proposals from students, and they had to put in some sources. And I noticed a few students had put in dissertations. And I just wanted to comment on that. First, there's a couple of issues with dissertations. One is that they're really long, and you're not going to have time to read a dissertation. You're not going to want to do that. Secondly, just because the dissertation is in Proquest doesn't mean it's any good. It could be really bad. What we tend to use dissertations for more so is if we're trying to find some sort of see what the sources were that they used. If we're trying to find some sort of obscure primary resource, some old document or something, sometimes we can find that referenced in the work cited in the dissertation. So
Yeah, the
I tend to,
bibliography.
yeah.
That's
but
why you want to look at a dissertation.
I tend to
the
avoid
bibliography.
anything but bibliography, right? Unless it's your professor's dissertation that's in there, maybe you can do that.
So, I don't see the button that you're supposed to click.
Oh, scroll the second.
Oh, this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of sources. There we go. You need to click apply. Choose your sources and then click apply. So I limited it to just scholarly journals or trade journals. And we went down from 47,000 to 3,000. It's still a lot of results. One thing to remember about Proquest is that the relevance ranking, the algorithm that it uses to rank your results is very good. So the top results the best results are going to float up to the top of your results. So you don't need to look through 3,185 results, especially if you're just looking for a few good sources. If you're doing an exhaustive literature review, which you might do for a capstone or a major research paper, that's a little bit different, and you may want to be more precise in your search terms, or come and meet with one of us, and we're happy to talk to you about how you can narrow it down and get better results in Proquest. So we've got some good results here. I want to point out the preview button here. Click on the preview, and it shows you an abstract of the entire. It's abstract or a summary of the article or the dissertation so that you know a little bit more about what it's about. And you'll see a lot of times here, you'll see full text links. So we are seeing full text links, which is good. In some cases, you don't see full text. There's nothing here that says full text, but there is a Find It button. And the Find It button allows you to click, if you click on it, it searches through all of Johns Hopkins subscriptions to figure out, do we have access to that journal article somewhere in Johns Hopkins? So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link. And it says, yes, we have online access through Springer. Note here, it also talks about copies in library. You might see sites, you might see Eisenhower, which is the library in Baltimore. The Library Service Center is basically a warehouse where lots of materials are stored that we can get quickly if need be. Usually though, one hopes, fingers crossed, to see online access. When you click on that, it takes you to the publisher's website where you can then download the PDF. Now, if you search Google, you might be able to find this same article in Google, but when you get to download PDF, you're not going to be able to get it if you're off campus because you haven't gone through the library resources, right? If you go through the library resources, you're going to be asked to log in with your JED username and password when you're off campus. So that's how it knows, yes, you're allowed to access the full text of this. By the way, occasionally you'll see no online access, no copies in library, and down here you'll see a button that says request this via Interlibrary Loan. An Interlibrary Loan for journal articles is fast. It's usually within 1 to 2 business days. It's been known to happen the same day. And you get a PDF that you can download and keep. So it's not old school Interlibrary Loan where the library has to mail or fax or something. It's all done through PDF. For books, it does take longer if you ever want to use Interlibrary Loan for books. So I mentioned that there's a way to get results from here into Refworks. And that is a nice tool because that helps you build up your Refworks database if you decide you want to use Refworks. And the way to do that is to choose a couple of references that you like, a couple of sources. Should I go ahead and export? I think we have time. We have half an hour. So I've chosen maybe 4 or 5 and come up to here where it says save. Once you click on save, you'll see the option that says export save, and Refworks is actually your first option. And then you get a bunch of information here that basically you can ignore. Just click at the bottom, click continue. And this is a security warning that you can also ignore, just click continue. So if you haven't used Refworks before, you'll want to check this box that says don't ask me this again, and then you'll click on export to new Refworks. And then you won't see that again. So we've imported 4 documents. I clicked OK. So now we see these 4 articles that I just imported. Note that I'm also seeing articles, we're seeing articles that Steve imported on October 1st as well. So items that come into this last imported area, they stay here for 30 days. They're still going to stay in your Refworks database. They're just not going to be in the last imported area. So I'm going to move these 4, I clicked on a few seconds ago, I'm going to move them into Steve's ERE folder. Or we could create a new folder. Let me create a new folder. And we'll call it, what was that, climate change Kenya?
Oh, Kenya.
Well, we're doing other
research?
yeah, I'll just call it ERE2. So I just created a new folder. Once you create folders, you can drag them up to the top if you want. So that's going to be our top folder. And I'm going to go back to my last imported folder. I think I'm not going to be able to see.
It's there.
Where?
What do you?
Oh,
it's
right.
at the top.
ERE2.
And so it tells you how many things
Yeah.
you have in that folder.
Yeah. The apply button is not,
Oh, it's not
normally
there.
you would see an apply button down here, but because of screen resolution, you can't see it. So I will show you another way to move them over. You can actually pick them up and drag them over as well. So that's another way to get references into your folder. So now we have 4 references in that folder. If you wanted to, as Steve showed you, you could go ahead and create a bibliography from those.
This gives me a chance to
Copy.
talk about
paste.
speaking URLs for a second.
Oh, yeah.
So this has been coming up a lot with students who've been working in anything using Proquest and Refworks. You'll see that it has this URL here. It has 2 things. It has this DOI, which is direct object something, I can't remember what it stands for.
Identifier.
Yeah, identifier, and then it has this URL. This URL really just goes to Proquest. It's not really truly a part of the citation. It's almost like they're advertising for themselves. So you can either, you don't have to have it. If a professor clicked on it off campus, they're not going to be able to get into that document because it's not set up to give them the Hopkins access. So you're welcome to just sort of cut them out at the very end. Can you go back to the folder for a second?
Yeah.
Another way to do it, if you just highlight one and do an edit.
Yeah.
If you go into, you can edit this record, and if you scroll down, there's going to be at the very bottom, I think it's going to
Right
be,
here.
actually scroll further. Scroll further.
Scroll further? You
Yeah.
don't want me to delete the
No, I want you to scroll further. Click right there. This is an electronic resource. See the thing that's checked just below?
Oh, yeah.
Click that, and then you can save it.
And now
And then
we
you
create
can
the
run it
bibliography
again, and it
will
should disappear. Let's see if one of them did disappear, that one right there.
This one no longer
Yeah.
has that.
So, this citation looks more like what you're used to, where it ends with the page numbers. So that's just an option. If you forget that, we can show you. But I just wanted to make the point that you don't really have to have those. And those URLs say Proquest in them, so you know what they are. If it was something from a website, you probably wouldn't want to have a URL in it, but these aren't necessary. So it's one little glitch with Proquest. They own Refworks, and so they kind of do this thing where they advertise for themselves.
Right. Any questions about Proquest or about the connection, how you get things into Refworks from Proquest?
What is the return
From Refworks?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. If you you need to have the word add-in, or the add-in also works with Google Google Documents if you'd rather use that than Word. And we're going to be talking, either you can come and see me or one of us, and I can work with you individually to show you how that works. We're not going to show you that today. Or we have a class on Friday at 2 o'clock in NITSE 417, where we'll be showing the Word add-in.
One thing that I think that really happens in Proquest is that you end up having to sort of tweak your search terms a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
so for instance, you could say, okay, well, I'm not finding enough specifically about Kenya. Should I just go broader and say Africa, or a different country that might be a case study that would be comparative to Kenya? You can also do quotation marks so that you can say,
As an exact phrase.
climate change, you're not going to need to put that in quotation marks probably, but sometimes it's helpful to have something in quotation marks so you have a phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you do in Google.
All right, I'm going to leave Proquest if there are no more questions about Proquest. And we're going to look at Science Direct. Science Direct is, we're not going to register for that today. It's a search engine for all Elsevier journals, so all journals that are published by Elsevier, and that includes Energy Policy, which is an Elsevier journal, and a lot of other journals that are good for your particular topics.
It's a huge publisher.
And this is everything in Science Direct is peer-reviewed and scholarly. It's mostly journal articles and also book chapters. Book chapters from books that are published by that publisher, Elsevier. So I'm going to run a search for, let's see what my search terms were. Okay, hydropower in China. I just put them in that first box where it said keyword. Again, you get a lot of results, 11,000 results. But like Proquest, you can narrow it down by choosing years. So I can choose,
2019.
yeah. I can choose just the most recent 3 years or 4 years. You can also narrow it down by article type, you see here, or by publication title. So you can see here, maybe I'll just choose, I just want to see energy policy journals. So now we're looking at all of the articles in the journal Energy Policy that have to do with hydropower in China for the last 3 years. Just like Proquest, you see there's this little abstract button. And then you can see the abstract. And you're going to see everything in here pretty much is full text. It'll say download PDF for all of the scholarly articles, for the journal articles. There may occasionally be a link that says...
This is all energy policy.
This is all energy policy, right. Let me get rid of that. So you'll see occasionally a link that says purchase PDF, and we haven't seen one yet. That's because we don't have access to the full text of books. So you'll see purchase PDFs when you find book chapters. And what you do when you run across that is you'll copy the title of the book and then search in the library catalog and see if we own that book, because we might have it. And if we don't, maybe it's available through Borrow Direct, that consortium of libraries. Maybe it's available. Maybe we can get it for you on Interlibrary Loan. So there are lots of options for getting book chapters. Notice also there's a little link here that says export. So again, you can export and save to Refworks. Works the same way as the one we just demonstrated in Proquest. I think you can also select, let's see if you can select multiples to export. I don't think you can. No, you have to do them one at a time here. So you can export to Refworks that way. There is an advanced search in Science Direct. The reason you might want to use advanced search, again, is that you can limit it to just searching in the title, abstract, or keywords. Right? So when I was searching before, I was searching every single word in all of the journal articles. So China, maybe that was in the last paragraph of a particular article. But if I limit it to title, abstract, and keywords, and you can also put your years in here. That's another nice feature. Instead of having to click the years, you can say, okay, I want 2015 to 2019. Even though we haven't had 2019 yet, apparently there are things in there for 2019. But now we're only seeing 193 results.
Jenny, if you click on two of those, could you just mark two of them?
Yes.
That thing,
Oh,
the export's at the top.
It does appear.
Yeah.
So as soon as you mark them, so you can mark multiple ones and then export all of those to Refworks.
I tend not to worry too much about whether I'm going to use an article when I export. Remember, you're just exporting the citation. You're not saving the full. You're going to need to save the PDF on your desktop or Dropbox or wherever. But I tend to not worry about that. If I think they look good, I will, and then I'll go back later. And if I need to sort of change the folder that I have and stuff in, I can do that. But you also may see cases where you're seeing the same article show up in different databases, and that's fine. There's, you could just you can export it, and there's even a way you can get rid of duplicates in Refworks. So
I think,
there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to leave behind Science Direct for now. And the last thing that we'd like to show you is going to be useful for your entire career at SAIS. It's Google Scholar. How many are already familiar with Google Scholar? A few. There is a way to get Google Scholar to export citations to Refworks, and also to use it to find, to hook it up to Johns Hopkins subscriptions. So you can use that same Find It feature in Google Scholar, even if you're off campus. And so that's why Google Scholar is very handy, because if you, let's say you're reading a book chapter or a journal article, and in the footnotes you see something that's really good that you want to use for your paper. Google Scholar will help you find the full text for that, whatever it is that you want to use in your paper, and also help you get it into Refworks. So the way to do that, any of you who have your laptops open and want to do it now, go to Google Scholar, click on the three bars, sometimes called the hamburger menu. You may see settings down here on your own laptops. If you see settings, click on it. Otherwise, click on the gear for the settings. Come down to Bibliography Manager, and you can click Show Links, Import Citations into, and choose Refworks. Save, and then you've got it set up to go with Refworks. The other thing you want to do in settings is go to Library Links on the left-hand side. And because we're on campus, if you're on the Hopkins network, you'll see that there's already a box here, it's already checked. Go ahead and click Save, and that should save these settings for you. If not, if you get home and it didn't work, you can just start typing in Johns Hopkins. Oops. And this box will come up. You check the box and click Save. And this is all kind of abstract right now, so I'll run a quick search to show you what that can do for you. I'll just choose Chile renewable energy. Okay, you see next to every citation in Google Scholar, it says import into Refworks. So that's nice. Again, you can only do one at a time. But it's nice to be able to get that right in. And look on the right-hand side, you see Find It. Remember that Find It will search through all of Johns Hopkins subscriptions to find the full text of an article for you. It's really nice that you see that Find It feature. Let's see if we can find one that doesn't have it. Okay, this one doesn't have a Find It link here. It's a Power Electrics Handbook. Sometimes if you click on these two arrows, yep, the Find It button popped up. And especially for books, you won't see a Find It link. But if you click on Find It for books, what it does is it searches to see, do we have online access to it? No. However, it is available from the Eisenhower Library, which is the library in Baltimore. All you have to do is, you could click Request from here, or you can click More Information if you want to see it in the library catalog and get more information about it. And you do see, this is is what it looks like if we didn't have access to it. You could get it through Interlibrary Loan. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and show you what it looks like. Because Steve had already logged in with his JED username and password, he's automatically logged into Interlibrary Loan, and it filled out the form for you. So you can get a book through Interlibrary Loan within 1 to 2 weeks, usually is how long it takes, unless it's something really esoteric or coming from another country, because we do occasionally get Interlibrary Loan from other countries.
If we didn't own this, you would probably also see and find it the borrow direct option, which is the faster one, where you
Right.
can get it. Yeah, so find it does all sorts of things depending on whether we have access or not.
Yeah, there may be another one we can quickly check.
I was gonna point out, can you show them just the cited by?
Oh, the cited by, yeah. So another thing to point out here is that you see all these links that say cited by. If let's say you find a source that you think is really, really good. This is perfect, but it's from 2011. It's a little bit old. I want something more recent. You can click on the cited by link, and what it's going to do is run a search for every article or book that has cited that article. So it's all going to be after 2011, and hopefully relevant. Sometimes not, but sometimes it is. And I recently discovered this feature where you can actually search within the citing articles. And that could be if you're looking for, what did we do? Chile renewable energy? Something like that. So let's say you really, although we're getting a lot of desalination. Well, you could search within here for solar. And now you're limited to only those that talk about solar distillation or solar desalination. And then again, you can get the full text, or you can import the link, import the citation into Refworks.
Google Scholar this is some newer features that are pretty cool. I think if I was a SciSci student starting research, I think Proquest has a lot more flexibility in terms of like the results display and an understanding of what you're actually searching. We don't know what Google Scholar is searching. We know that it is academic publishers, .edu. Sometimes there might be some think tanks in there, but they don't make that stuff public. It also just doesn't have the same flexibility in terms of limiting searches and doing things like that. But it has all these other cool features like, was this actually a widely used article? We can tell that for the first one there's 90 for Web of Science. That's like a sort of scholarly citation tool. And then the 155, which is a little higher, probably includes websites or things that are free on the web or blogs and things that Google has crawled out and found. So that's a really cool feature too. So you can certainly use this as well. It's great if you already know what you're looking for. Like you just, as Jenny said, somebody's recommended an article to you, just pop it in here. If you're doing if you want to use Refworks, but you've already started your research and you found some articles and you're like, well, how am I going to export those? You could probably pop the title in here and find the citation and then export it into Refworks. So.
Yeah, I would say the other difference between Proquest and Google Scholar is that Proquest has those trade journals, which Google Scholar actually does not. So Proquest has oil and gas journal in it, or it has a lot of military journals in it, and military magazines.
So you might find more current information in those journals because the scholarly journals take a little longer to go through the publishing cycle. And you might find ideas for like a particular dam project in China, for instance, that maybe it's not showing up in the scholarly literature, but it's something new that you could search on then and do more with. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use the trade journals and the other features, the other options in Proquest.
Yeah. Proquest also has some Brookings reports. Google Scholar has a lot of RAND reports. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both of them. Speaking of reports and kind of what they call gray literature, sometimes the best way to find a report on a particular topic by an organization that you already know is Google. Like regular Google, not Google Scholar, but just regular Google. So if you want to get World Bank reports for Chile on again, renewable energy. Search in Google, search World Bank, Chile, renewable energy. That's going to be your fastest way to find World Bank reports. We do have, the last things I want to show you, we do have on our homepage this drop-down box that says databases, and we do have World Bank reports available right from our homepage. So we have the World Bank data, as well as the World Bank E-Library. Or if you know, now that you know about Proquest or Science Direct, you can type in Proquest. You don't have to go to the ERE guide to find these things, or that BMI research. If you know what you're looking for, you just type it in. This is a list of about 200 or so databases that we have gathered together for you that we think are the most relevant for SICE students. There are more available. Johns Hopkins has over 1,000 databases that you can search. And those are available down here either under databases A to Z or by subject. So we could go, if we wanted to go by subject and click on Earth and Environmental Science. What did you say?
I said we should take questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions on anything?
So basically, once you have a bibliography in Refworks, how do you easily export to Word document?
Sure.
It's just copy and paste.
The one that when we clicked on and we showed the bibliography, that one you can cut and paste in. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally how it works in there.
So I'm gonna, how many do you have in here? Too many to probably select all. I'll choose the ones that are not in a folder. So you come up here to the exclamation point, you create your bibliography. Oh, it is taking a while. All right, I'm gonna choose a smaller folder here.
Just China Energy.
Yeah, it shouldn't take that long.
No, China Energy.
There we go. And then you just copy and paste it to Word.
The spacing on
This
this,
is-
by the way, when you see it on here, it looks kind of funny, but once you
Once
put
you
it
paste
into
it
Word
into
document,
Word.
the spacing looks better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the easy way to use Refworks. A little more complicated way is to get that Word add-in or the Word plugin. And that also allows you to enter footnotes into your paper and build the bibliography as you go.
You're usually going to have to, before you turn your paper in, just sort of scan over the works cited and make sure there's nothing wrong that you just need to edit. But you're talking about this time savings there is huge, you know, just going back and tweak, because sometimes things will come in and they'll be in all capital letters, or there'll be something wrong with the capitalization or something, and you can just fix those. You can fix those in Refworks, you can edit the record, but you can also just fix them at the end as well.
Yeah, so what
yeah.
he's talking about, yeah. So here's an example of something that didn't quite work right. See how that's all in all caps? So you do have to proofread your bibliography.
That was actually in the database in all caps, so you'll see that a lot where that kind of issue comes up, where the database has it in all caps, so it ends up in Refworks in all caps. Yeah.
Any
Anything
other
else?
questions?
Come see us if you have questions. Seriously,
Yeah.
this is a lot to absorb, so we're happy to meet with you. I've already met with several people in this room.
Me too.
And, yeah, we're happy to do that again. Thank you.